Hello, my name is Reed Gabriel, and today I'm going to be taking you through how to hit a forehand in tennis. Before you hit any stroke in tennis, it's important to have the right grip. For this lesson, I'll be demonstrating the semi-western forehand grip. This can easily be made by simply picking the racket off of the ground. At this point, you'll notice that the face of the racket is facing directly toward the ground. It's actually parallel with the ground here. That's how you know that you have the right grip, the semi-western grip. Now that we have our grip, it's important to get into this stance, which in tennis is called the ready position. In this position, your feet should be a little over shoulder width apart, your knees should be bent, and your back should be straight. The head of the racket should be pointed up with your non-dominant hand holding the throat of the racket. You should be very balanced in this position and ready to move. After we're in our ready position, the next step is to do a split step. A split step is basically a little hop which prepares you to move quickly. The split step should be done when you see that your opponent is hitting the ball. Here is my split step in slow motion. Notice how, even though it's a small hop, there is a lot of potential energy being built up in my legs after landing. You will use this potential energy to quickly spring off in whichever direction you need to. Here it is one more time. Immediately after doing the split step, it is important to move into the unit turn. This involves stepping to the side or coiling the upper body until your shoulder is pointing toward the net, as such. Notice how I'm still in the exact same position as before, except that my upper body has turned. I want to specifically draw attention to two important details. Those are the way that I'm holding the racket and the action of my legs. If you look at the relationship between my hitting arm and my racket, you'll notice that they look like an L. To do this, you need to keep your wrist cocked back while holding the racket. Notice how my wrist is very cocked back right here, and it keeps the racket straight up like that, forming the L. And I also want to draw attention to the legs. As you can see, all the weight is loaded up on my right leg, and my left foot is lifted off the ground slightly. As with the split step, loading up on my right leg allows me to store potential energy for the stroke. Remember, your power comes from your legs and your body, not just your arms. After our unit turn, we're going to let go of the racket with our offhand and let the head fall back until it is just below our waist. As you let the racket head drop, try to keep that L that I mentioned before. Make sure your wrist is still cocked back. Another way to think about this is to imagine that the butt of the racket is a flashlight, and, as described by Nick Bollettieri, you want to keep that flashlight pointing toward the net for as long as possible. And you can't do this without keeping your wrist cocked back. Now comes the tricky part, actually hitting the ball. Keeping that flashlight pointed toward the net for as long as possible, uncoil your body and let the racket come around as a result of your rotation. If you have kept your wrist cocked back, you should be making contact with the ball on the open face of your racket out in front of your body. It may feel awkward or counterintuitive to hit the ball with your wrist cocked back like this, but it allows you to control the ball so that its trajectory is based on the position of your body rather than on your wrist. If you were to keep your wrist loose when you hit the ball, the angle of the racket face at contact would be different every time. Keeping your wrist cocked makes for a consistently angled racket face. After making contact with the ball out in front of your body, the racket and your rotation should continue until the shoulder of your hitting arm is pointing toward the net, as such. Notice how the shoulder is pointing toward the net. At the end of the rotation, my weight is now on my left leg, and my right foot is lifted. The rotation didn't stop when I hit the ball, but continued all the way around my body. So now here's what it looks like when you put everything together. With the split step, the unit turn, I drop the head of my racket, keeping the L. I rotate with my body all the way around, loading out back of my left foot.
This is Reed Gabriel at the Diamond Head Tennis Center, and this concludes our forehand lesson for today. I hope you're able to benefit from it. Thank you so much for watching. Aloha, and have a nice day.